I think we're live. I think. Let's see. See if anybody appears to me. Appear to me, friends. Where are we? All right. Show. Wait. Am I able to chat at all? Let's see here. Chat. Here we go. There's the chat. Finally. Hey, Steven. What's going on, buddy? Finally. Okay, you hear me. Yay. Okay. People are getting in finally. All right, I see what's going on. All right, cool. So we can kick this party off. We can get this party started on a Friday night. Everybody's a fish head and they like my cat who's asleep right here. Kitty. She saved my life last night. Let me tell you about that in one sec. All right, so hello again. Check the fish box. All right, so this lazy face, she saved me last night. There was a spider, and she meowed. She said, "Daddy, meow, meow. There's trouble." And I said, "Nay, there is not trouble. Be quiet, cat. You're being annoying." And she said, "Daddy, look at my claws." And I said, "Nay, no trouble." And I said, "Stop sleeping with your head in the track of the freaking this dirty, grungy track of the door with like, there's literally springtails. There's a springtail right there. And they come through the door here. Now she sleeps here, and I used to think, you're gross, cat. Why do you sleep like with your head on that nastiness? And now I've realized that my baby, my darling, my sweet girl who sleeps with one claw open, she was just protecting me. She was just protecting me. And she wants a bioactive coat. Yes. No, she was just protecting me. Last night, a spider came through here, ran through here, ran across the room, and it was a wolf spider. And it almost got me. It almost got me on the foot that's already maimed. Well, both feet are pretty messed up at the moment, but almost got me. Almost almost maimed me on me good foot. Hold on, let's see if we can get a little bit clearer of a picture here. Hello, friends. Uh, I realized that I may look a fright. I may not look as polished, as clean as some days. But I do have two videos in the works being edited right now that I thought, well, I'll get this one done today. And then I was like, no, I want to change a couple things. And then same thing happened with the other one. But tomorrow, for sure, one of them will be up. And probably the following day, the next one will be up. But what are the videos? Well, they're actually old videos that I went and I totally overhauled. So I went back in and I saw videos that were 6 years or older, and I found the videos that were um, like videos that I liked that maybe got 500 views back when I had 200 or 300 subscribers or whatever. And so I've kind of put together a list of maybe 7 or 8 that I wanted to remake with like better resolution and like basically I'm just taking the sound and putting that in as the main skeleton and then doing new visuals to most of it. But I was a little torn because there's a few of them that so the one of the videos I'm working on right now for y'all is, do fish drink water? And that sounds like an easy question, right? Do fish drink water? Either yes or no, right? Well, the answer is some. And when I say that, it's even more complicated than that. So fish, like bony cartilaginous fish, they do not drink water. Freshwater, bony, cartilaginous fish do not drink water. They're able to just soak it in from their fresh water. However, saltwater fish actively have to drink water. And they have a process after the fact that gets the salt level then calibrated. But one of the two does not urinate. Well, it goes to the bathroom, I should say, but it's kind of like a bird where it's like all like that runny white stuff. There's not like a liquid and a solid, it's all just that stuff. Anyways, but yeah, many people may never have wondered, does a fish need to drink, or they may just take it for granted. And in this video, we'll go over like the really fascinating evolution and anatomy of that. It's only like probably going to be, I think, right around 13 minutes, 12 to 14 minutes long. And then also there will be another video that I've edited, re-edited, the redo, the redux, that is in the works right now and almost done as well. Like today I was like, am I going to get it done? Do I need a coffee? Like, what do I do? And literally when I was getting the coffee an hour ago and editing, I was like, you know what? It's going to be too late today to put either of these videos out. So I'm just going to stream a little bit earlier at 4 on the dot, and hopefully, like, because my energy is just bad. I've been fading fast today. And so hopefully, you know, another 2 shots of caffeine and I'll be alive. Oh, I'm still alive. And then, yes, if anybody is wondering, of course, I've got my water because I've got all the edema and stuff, and this doesn't help. Joey, what's up? And Jan, good to see you. Gary, good to see you. Girl88, good to see you. Greg, Guppy Guy, Beauty and the Buds, good to see you. Him Flip, hello, welcome. Who else is in here right now? You know, I know Stephen P, what's up? Rob E, the Grim, what's up? Check the Fish Box, a Secret Cricket, Greg the Guppy, Carson of Fram. So good to see everybody. You know, I like streaming this way, even though I know a lot of y'all don't like the strike the pose, the vertical thing, or whatever you want to call it, horizontal versus vertical, the portrait mode, but it is able to pull in more people from the open community who are not subscribed already than the other way of streaming by about 400%. There's 4 times more the viewers that normally don't watch. So even if they leave, most of them, we do gain a few usually this way. So that's why I like to stream this way, you know, once a week or whatever. Where's the Dr. Pepper? You know me too well. Yeah. What's wrong with you, Alex? You've got a liquid death water. You got a Dr. Pepper, and you got a coffee. Yeah, what? I live off liquid. I'm a fish. So what? Now, why is it 400% greater in portrait mode? So, when it's in portrait, hey, Mijard family, welcome back. You're joining us again. I'm glad. The reason it's better, 400% better, is because it doubles the number of my subscribers. So people who said, I want all notifications on, I want to watch anything that he comes up with. It doesn't actually alert all those people when I stream. It alerts 10%. And depending on how that 10% react, it either alerts another 10% or 20% of my subscriber base, or it just kind of stops. It doesn't really invite any more people. So if it invites out of the 85,000 people, it'll invite, say, 8,000. And if only 10 people come over out of, say, whatever, 3,000 were online, it's going to say, ooh, nobody really wants to watch him. So they're not going to bother even sending it to the rest of my viewers. But the when you stream this way, it counts as a short, and so it actually fires up again for anybody who's online. It will every time they go to a new short, it will give them another roll of the dice that I'm the next random video, and it ends up being that the viewership goes that much higher on average for viewers. It's kind of interesting. So only some people get the notification. It's usually high use users. So like people who are members and subscribers. So people who pay a buck 99 or people who are in a lot of live streams tend to get alerted more, which makes some sense. But then what happens is those people that are in the middle that maybe check in once every a month or every now and then, they get totally left out. And then the fact that they didn't come and they didn't get the alert, like becomes confirmation bias and it becomes a feedback loop, and then the channel does less and less and less, and that's how channels die. So yeah, but we're gonna just keep cranking it out as long as we can. So yeah, the Aquatic News Network's CTR and going from one video on one channel to another video on the same channel show a lot of interest to the algorithm. So watch multiple videos by people y'all are checking out. Yep, totally. I really do appreciate that. I'm gonna pin that message, buddy. Pinned. Consider yourself pinned, Aquatic News Network. Good to see you, man. But yeah, it's true that like that is the way. If you want to see more from a certain channel, go there on your own, even when you don't see them pop up in the search algorithm, or when you do see them in your search algorithm. Even if you're not going to watch the whole video, like go there, watch like a minute of the video or 30 seconds, and then click like save to watch later or whatever, so that it gets that there's an interaction, or drop a comment and then just remember to come back later. Whatever it may be, interaction is the key there. So you are banking on gaining subscribers over time, as I am sure you are aware. Shorts don't count for viewers. Oh yeah. No, I don't care about view hours. I have like 1 million hours a month of views, guys. So like no, it's not that high anymore. It's more like 1/3 of a million in the summer. And then by the time winter rolls around and fall, it's like 500,000 hours of viewing usually a month in 30 days. So no, I'm way beyond that. So luckily I have 1,800 videos on so many subjects that they're very like niche, that a lot of people are searching, how do I do this? And I happen to be the only one who's done a video on that fish or that very specific question or science. And that's kind of what I bank on here. Um, yeah, Beauty and the Buds. I've been commenting on more of my favorite YouTubers' videos to support. Yep, it is definitely helpful. And yeah, I used to be even more prolific, and that's why it feels like I've slowed way down. I've been posting like 6 videos the last each 2 months, and I feel like that's nothing. I feel like I have fallen off the map. That is the slowest I've been in 8 years, 9 years, or whatever. However long this has been going on. I mean, I wasn't doing this full time until about 6 years ago, but I've had the channel and I've at least been posting once a week ever since I had the channel. So yeah. Anyhow, Vicky Stormont, what's up? No money for aqua soil. I put 2 inches of washed creek sand, cycling a new tank with some awesome old dripwood. Any plant moss recommendations? First time trying in a planted aquarium. So, Vicky, if you don't have any sort of active nutrients in your substrate, it's gonna take a number of months probably before your water column has an array of nutrients that will support a wide array of plants. Now, granted, there are quite a few plants that you can have that are called rhizome plants or plants without roots that can just kind of live in low nutrient, medium to low light water. So that is stuff like Java moss, Java fern, Bolbitis hedulata, Anubias, Bucephalandra. And also there are things like Valsinaria, Starogen repens, octopus, Stellatus octopus, Potamogeton octopus as well. What's another one? All of the like Elodia and parrot's feather and stuff like that. If you have on the more acidic side water, those will do well. Kabambas. And those are actually stem plants, but they will grow even without being anchored down. They'll still grow at the top of your water. Also, floating plants. So things like water lettuce, of course, duckweed, which can be annoying. So think before you do that. Hey, Prodigal Aquarist, I'm glad you're catching two lives. Yep, I'm trying to stick with the plan. The other plan, guys, is that I was just talking with somebody that obviously I get all fanboy about, but Adam Ragusia, who is a food YouTuber. Love Adam. I love his content. If you haven't ever checked it out, do so. But I'm sure most of y'all have heard of him and are like, "Who's Alex?" Uh, but he has agreed to come on to the channel probably next week, and he's gonna come on. And I think we're gonna change the day that we stream. I think we're gonna do Monday instead of Tuesday. And I think we're gonna do it a bit earlier. So maybe 3 or 4 p.m. East Coast time or West Coast time, sorry. And then like so sometime between 5 and 8 East Coast. Yeah, but we don't want to step on toes. So I know Stephen P has the water your plant or wet your plants show, and I know there's a number of other shows that Grant Eater goes on at like 9 or something. So I want to do it all well before those times. And Tuesdays I feel like are just they've been pretty low turnout, and they haven't been working super well with my own schedule with doctors and things. And like that's always when I have a doctor's appointment, it seems like lately, and then I'm stuck at the rush hour at like 4 o'clock our time on the West Coast, and it ends up, just being exhausting. But long story short, you might say, what could Adam Ragosio talk about fish? But Adam has actually been into aquariums, and he has been like an incredible student teaching himself about planted aquariums, aquascapes, deep substrate, anoxic, aerobic versus anaerobic, like the different kinds of aquariums you can keep. And he's really like jumped all in for now a number of years. And I guess it's been probably 2 years at least, like that I've known that he's been doing this. And, we recorded a video at some point it may come out. It was supposed to come out like a year ago now or something like that. But it was predicated on the fact that he was going to do a whole tank and keep it for like a year, and then his friend was going to do the same. So I don't know. Don't know. It doesn't matter to me. I'm just honored that he reached out and wanted to chat. But he's somebody that has like very similar taste in like do the whole advocating for a cause, the grassroots citizen scientist, looking into the history and the backstory and the like kind of hidden details or the little like bunny trails and rabbit trails of thought and of the stories that are like kind of tangential to the big point. So when most people are making a video on here's how you make a stone fire pizza, he's looking at like what is the reaction that goes on in dough at different temperatures, and if there's a flame present versus if there's no flame present, and like what does carbonization do to the dough, and like why do humans like the taste of burnt things versus, or why don't they, things like that. So really interesting tangents. And so I think that he has kind of an interesting view in that he's kind of been sitting on the periphery of our aquarium hobby And of, this Facebook group, or I mean, this YouTube channel, as well as like Aquarium Co-op and a number of others, Father Fish for a little while at first, I think. But he's able to kind of take a look at it, and I'm curious to kind of pick his mind as from somebody like me who's been so wrapped up in the hobby for so long that now it's hard for me to even think outside the box, so to speak. And so I'm really curious to speak with him and to get his take on, what's odd about our hobby, or what's difficult, what's a stumbling block, why do 95% of aquarists stop keeping fish after 3 years? Like 92% stop keeping fish after 2 years. It's really interesting. And then if you make it to that 3 year point, the chances that you keep fish like the rest of your life are like, I don't know, 50 or 60%. Like they go up, all of a sudden they go the exact opposite way, the statistics that they've gathered. Mm. Yeah, maintenance is a big part of it, right? And the world of aquariums has changed a lot, like what you have to do for maintenance and what kind of fish we have access to and what kind of jump starting our tanks and all sorts of things like that. There's a lot of really new stuff that has gone on in the aquarium hobby that I think it's interesting to see how it has impacted things. Also, just like planted tanks and the fact that you can go anywhere in the United States and order plants now and tissue cultures, that's a huge game changer because for a long time, if you didn't live somewhere near like a big city, you weren't going to be keeping anything other than just indigenous or endemic plants to wherever you're living. So, while we chat, if you guys have any questions, just shout them out. But I figured we'd take a look at this round of guppies now that the 6th generation is fully grown and colorful. I took most of the females they're in the other room, and I got like 3 or 4 females from each generation in a different tank. And then basically there's 1 or 2 from each generation still in this tank. And then the males, I've kept my favorite from each generation, like a good 3 to 6 of each generation in here. And you can really see, so these all started out as completely blonde, gold blonde guppies right here, like this. The males look like that too. And then I crossed them with, let's see, who's still left that's got the most oomph to their color. This guy right here. So he's 2nd generation now. He is not the original rainbow snakeskin father, but he looks fairly similar, just a bigger tail and a little less red and a little less different colors. But I basically crossed one of these and a female that was all gold, and every gene she had was recessive. And so what's interesting is at the 3rd generation, the females started getting color in their fins, which I love. I love it when that happens. But all of a sudden, when we started losing the green and the tiger stripes on the guppy males, so over here you can see there's a couple that have these tiger stripes. So that's generation 2 and generation 3 with the spade tails there. And then up here, this is generation 3 as well, where they have all the blonde genes still, but everything else became dominant with that blonde gene still being co-dominant, even though it's mostly a recessive gene in other fish. But because of the ones we select, the genetics I selected, that happened. And then the weirdest thing of all that happened was these guys, these completely wild feral looking fish with this is what like a wild endler or a wild guppy would definitely resemble, like this one right here with the orange, blue, and black, or this one up here with the black dots. And the last 2 generations, these have been what have come out. And if you go, and that's the 6th generation. So this guy's 6th generation, 6th generation, and 6th generation with the orange tails. So I find it very, very interesting. These guys are what popped up. But then the other half of their same exact fry, the females are looking more and more like this. So they have color in their tails. And the males are looking more and more like this with the spade tail with the blue. And yet the stripes have come back in generation 5 and 6. So it's been a really interesting process to see like the layers of what genetics were hidden there. You can also see over here, we still have some pretty stark new young ones that are really blonde still. And they're still being born each round. And I kind of put them in the other room because it's really hard for me to tell what generation these completely blonde ones are. But the one I want to show you guys before I look at chat again in a sec. So there's these ones that have the orange and the blue on their tail. Well, there's another kind right here. Let me see if I can scare them forward. Yeah, here we go. That is gold with the orange on the tail. And that is a really unique genetic sequence, but it is not, it's going to be really hard to know unless I cross it with a true full blonde female. It would be really hard to try to get that just the orange with the blonde because the red is so much more dominant than the yellow. Red or orange really overpowers all these other colors when it's present in anything more than just quote unquote the eye spot. So it's going to be an interesting process that I'm going to try to do. And I think, can I show you guys under here at all? There are guppies all throughout this whole tank, like all throughout back here. And then, you know, obviously I've got flowers blooming of the bacopa. So I'm going to have hybrids of those. I want to show you guys outside in a sec too. In the carport, I've got my old Persicaria. So I crossed the Persicaria Sao Paulo with the Persicaria maculosa that is native to Washington State. And the Persicaria, where is it at? There's a piece of it somewhere back in here that was growing happily. It just kind of looks like, oh, here's some leaves of it. There are these long leaves sticking out here. And there's Persicaria Cowageum and Sao Paulo are two really common Persicarias. But Persicaria maculosa, or maculata, are these ones that grow in Washington here in non-tropical. And so crossing them together, I was curious what I'd end up with. Oh, hey, ho, hi there. Look at who it is. It's Adam Ragosia. And with a giant super chat. Thank you so much, Adam. I really do appreciate that, man. That is very, very kind of you. You know, I wish I could say it would be helpful for the air conditioner, but that's working right now. So we have the air conditioner. The thing that we do have the thing that we have that's limited right now is me being able to walk. I'm only limited to kind of short little journeys. But hey, thank you so much. And I look so forward to our chat in the near future. I don't know if you were here to catch me philosophizing about that, but I am excited to talk shop about, you know, what you think about the hobby and what you've gained from it or thought of it, learned of it from somebody who's so engaged in another just as like deep, if not deeper, hobby and cultural like subset, society. So I think that'll be a fun chat next week when we have it, guys. Also, Jeff Kane, good to see you. Hens and Fins, good to see you. Family Guy, hello. You want to create a natural tank? Any advice? Oh yeah, I got lots of advice. Hey George, good to see you too, man. I hope you and your discus are doing well today, buddy. Yeah, lots of advice on natural tanks. It's kind of my channel. Like a lot of the channel has a lot of advice on that. So I don't want to be rude, but I will say that you can go to the channel and there's like whole lists of kind of how to boost the ecological microdiversity in your tank, or how to have a planted tank, how to have a filterless tank, how to have um, a planted or dirted tank versus if you want to have a gravel tank or non-dirted tank with plants. I kind of have covered all of it. So let's hop outside real quick. I hope I don't lose you guys reception wise, but it's like perfect lighting, and I've been wanting to show you guys this this thing that happened, these plants that I've been growing. And you know, these are one of the like endless projects that I always have going. And sometimes I shouldn't lie, they're just happy little accidents sometimes. So let's turn it around here. So right here, this is Persicaria maculata or maculosa. I forget which one right now. It's one or the other. It doesn't. They're not both a thing. One is a thing. The other one is something I just made up in my head right now. But it is crossed with the Cauagium or Sao Paulo varietals from South America. And the way you can tell it is the same plant is it has a little heart-shaped mark on it when it's young and immersed. Also the big red stem, but what's great is it's flowering. This is totally immersed. These all sprouted underwater. And what's kind of cool is you can see a little Ludwigia glandulosa, you can see some glossos, you can see a crypt. Surprising that any crypts were born there, but I'm going to flower this and then let it go to seed by pollinating it with itself, because most plants in the aquarium hobby are essentially weeds, and you can kind of self-pollinate them. And so when you self-pollinate it like that, that little flower, all those little pieces are going to go to seed, and I can collect them. And actually what happened there is this is why I say it's a happy little accident, is that was the low boy tank that used to be inside over here that, hold on guys, let me get out of my orthotic shoes. So I have like special crutchy shoes that they're super styling. They have like a spot for offloading weight, and they're like Velcro. And I mean, oh man, look at it. So dreamy. So dreamy. Anyways. So, hey Craig, good to see you. And All and Drummond, what's up? Let me take off this hoodie because it's hot. Feeling hot, hot, hot. Hoodie, hoodie, feeling hot, hot, hot. Craig, 20 months, man. I know you supported me longer than that, but thank you so much, so kindly for the support. All right, so pop in here for a moment. The lights are all off because, again, it's like, I don't know, 80-something today. 86. I don't know, 84. I don't know how hot it got today. But over on the table over here, we have my betta right here that are doing well. My betta hendras. Look at how pretty these are. Let's see if we can see them to show the male show some color. They're pretty shy, but I have pictures up on Facebook. The female, pretty cool looking too. But those are wild bettas that are endangered. Anyways, and then we've got the original colony of my pygmy sunfish here. And we've got the Everglade eyes here, the Gilbert eyes here. And the babies are still in this tank that was on the counter for 2 months, right? So in our baby tank, let me make sure I knock this off my phone thing. Hold on. So in here, lots of algae, but it's because I've been going out back, and every night I use this flashlight and I make a shadow or a ray of light, and all of the little microorganisms swim to it and they say, show us your leader, or whatever they're thinking in their little brains. I don't think they have little brains, but anyways, they're doing something in their little head, in their little neurology, and I collect them because they come up to the light. And back in here, we've got all the little baby sunfish that are growing up, and they are hard to see. They're now at 4 months. 4 months? 4 months are they now? I have to look at the exact calendar. But they're getting older, and yeah, some of them are still very small. Like, didn't grow from 1 month to 4 months. And then there's about 5 or 6 that have grown a lot. So let me bring one of those to the front for you, or try to scare one of them to the front. They really cling to the foliage because they get, you know, so nervous. They're still very tiny and easily bite-sized snacks for any normal fish. But come on, are we getting any? Come on, fishies. Come on. So, remember, we had 34 of these free-swimming, 2-week-old fry at one point of the of the Gilbert eye. And here we go. Look right towards the back. Right towards that back corner. There's 3 little fish that are hanging out there. Let's see if we can scare them forward a little bit here. Come on. Boy, I'm not having luck getting anything on camera for you guys. I can see them with my eyes. Can you guys see this one? Okay, I'm sure you guys will see this one when I get it to move. Here we go. Come on. Move a little bit, little friend. There we go. Okay, here we go. There we go. Finally, jeez. So these guys have to eat live food, and they're real quick now. They're able to swim across the entire tank in about, like, 1.5, 1 second. So, they do that, and they hide over in those bushes all together now that they're older. So, that's interesting. Everyone else, like I said, their lights are off right now because of all of the heat in here. There's just kind of ambient light on, low light. You know, a side note, I thought these swordtails would be the easiest thing to breed, these Kohaku swords. And I've had 2 babies in 2 years. And the Liberty Mollies, the wild mollies that are right here, the Posilia salvatorii, they've had, I don't know, 30? I've given away dozens of them. And I still have 2 dozen of them, these wild mollies. So, that's a little, I don't know, frustrating to say the least. Let me scoot one thing over real quick and we'll take a look over here. I just want to see how all my loaches are doing, see if they had any babies since we last looked. So these loaches have been spawning, and there's so many fish in this tank that I just didn't expect that any would survive. No baby loaches is what I thought. But these are the rosy loaches right here, swimming all over the place. They're going crazy. And you can see how orange the males are. They're like fiery orange. And again, they're another fish that in the store, a lot of people think, oh, those are lame because they all look like this, like these ones. But when they get that fiery peach and orange on them, it is crazy to watch. Also, the hovering loaches, I don't think any have spawned this year, but we got a good spawn over the winter. We got at least 4 more. And then also, of all weird things, we've also got the snakeskin barbs in here. Here comes another bright orange male, little skinny male. And then we've got the wild, or not wild, but the bettas. We've got 2 males and 2 females at the moment. And then we also have black stripe cichlids. It is the tank that should not work. It's the tank that should not be, right? With all these zebra loaches too that they hide. All the loaches like to hide down in this Siswassertong. That's how they get their jollies, is from hiding from me. So I'll show you the native Florida tank too. This tank is to see the impact of scuds and other sorts of micro. Uh, uh, so there's shrimp in here. There's scuds in here. There's a scud right now. There are planaria. There are snails. There's like every little kind of thing in here. There's also neocaridina, and there are malawa shrimp in here. Um, and yet we're still getting more of these, more of the least killifish live bears. Seems like we started with 3, and I think we've got maybe a dozen of them. Again, there's these skinny planarias, and no one gets fed in this tank. It just gets light. And these little least killifish, there's no way they can eat the scuds in here when they're full grown. But the baby scuds, they can eat like there's no tomorrow, especially the female least killifish. The least killifish female adult is right back there, right behind this plant. You can see her tail. Let's see if we can see from this angle. Um, in here, if you just start to kind of look, there's also, like I said, a lot of scuds. And sometimes the least killifish will chase down even scuds as big as them. And I'm like, your mouth is nowhere near that size. What are you doing? But they're kind of hunting in packs. So it's been an interesting process because I was curious, like, are they living off of baby, like some sort of infusoria in the water and algae that I see with my microscope? Or are they living off the baby scuds that are too small to even see with the naked eye? When they're born, they're like these little dots. And it is that. I've watched a lot of hours, probably way too many hours, and they are eating planaria and scud and shrimp fry right when they're born. Why is the water so low in here? So it's about 4 or 5 inches, and it's because that's exactly how I got these fish. These fish, when I found them in Florida, were in 1 inch to 6 inches of water, and it was in a grassy yard. It was somebody's flooded yard at like I don't know what it was, American Bank of America or something. And yeah, it was just flooded, and yeah, that's it. And so they were living the life there. So I took them and I kept them in a similar condition because I've tried keeping them in all sorts of different tanks. Also, these tanks, the plan, again, remember we were going to move these and put this over there. I think the plan now is to keep this tank, this 60-gallon plan here whenever I'm back able to take care of a 60-gallon. But what I want to do over on this wall, after we refill things and we patch up the ceiling where I mentioned that we had to do all that, where the water damage happened. So the plan after that, though, I think will be to have kind of like a book nook and a map wall, or like a green screen wall with shelving for my reference material. And you can see now how hot it was in there, because this room here is AC and it's 74. That back room with the tanks is about 87 right now Fahrenheit, and I get hot very easily. But let's see here. So sorry, I've abandoned my chat. Patrick Van Huffel, hello, and thank you so much for your super chat. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate all of you, though. All of y'all here. Artistry Aquatica, also very cool that you are here. Good to see you. Have you ever seen a sword plant flower. Yes, red Reuben is flowering right now. Yeah, that's beautiful. I'd love to see it though. Let me go sit too. I had my well, I don't know where it went. I had my the thing that I used to film, the tripod. I had that at my side, my trusty tripod steed, but I don't know what happened. Um, Also over here, I just wanted to show off this hygrophila. I forget the name, but I'm sure Stephen P, if he's here, remembers the name. I always forget the name of this hygrophila, though. It's hygrophila. It's not coriambosa. It's hygrophila rose something, or I don't know. I always forget. And then this is hygrophila rosenvig, or rosenvig sometimes it's called, but it's actually polysperma, and it's just the pink variety. And then I have also Cabamba pontanal, the South American variety. Look at this size of an Amano shrimp here versus a Malawa shrimp. Full grown, full grown. Woo! And then all my Malawas in here are just going crazy. I mean, I have so many Malawa shrimp now in this tank. And look at this yellow one. This is another Amano from Aquatic Arts, if you guys recall. These are their colorful Amanos that are only like $6.99. I don't know how they get them for that cheap when they're saltwater bred, or, you know. But still bright yellow, so it wasn't like a dye job or anything like that. I was so curious because I'd never seen an Amano that was just as yellow as like a Neocaridina goldback yellow is. But alas, there it is, and we also have red and white ones too. All that being said, this all needs a massive haircut. I need to untangle all of this. My red corkscrew valve, metallic corkscrew valve, looks super cool right now. I mean, look at this. It starts off green right there, and when it gets bright light, look at that. It turns like a lovely, almost like a blood red at the end. Love how that looks. Also, the purple aflame sword looking pretty top notch. And for some reason, all the little aphids and springtails in here love the aflame sword where it crests the water. They're like obsessed with it. And fish will eat these. In fact, I have a whole episode where my angelfish were hunting these. And you can see the little aphids there and the springtails side by side. And yeah, that's the little tiny ones. Those are the little white dots you see jumping on your aquarium. So like, watch. A lot of times if you just shake your plants or splash on the surface of your aquarium where you have plants, right afterwards, if you zoom in, you'll see little white dots jumping around. See those little white dots jumping around? Totally harmless. They only eat fungi and bacteria. So they're like nothing but helpful, which I love. Gotta love a helpful creature like that. It's just like the isopods. The freshwater isopods that I've added here, they only eat rotting dead stuff. Stuff that has given out the methane signal, or the there's another set of chemicals. There's an isopod right there munching away, doing its thing. They only eat, though, stuff that has I'm trying to remember the name right now of it. So there's a chemical when things die, and there's one that it smells so bad that like humans are really averse to it. We're like, oh gosh, get away from me. And that is, there's something called putrescine, and then there's another one called, I think it's something like, it's not corpse but it's something similar to corpse. The word corpse is there, or rotting, or something like that. I have it in my video called "Why Does My Aquarium Smell?" And in that video, I break down the smells that could be coming from an aquarium, and like what's a healthy smell. An earthy, mossy smell, kind of like mushrooms, that's a great smell. If it smells like patchouli, a little bit of musk, that's like a super healthy bacterial, fungal microbe load with a little bit of decay, the cycles going. If it smells at all like rotten, mucky mud before you dig into it at all, that's a bad sign. And it may smell that way a little bit when you just kick up the mulm and things, but it shouldn't smell that way if you aren't digging around. It should smell very earthy. And I try to think of something other than patchouli, because most people just say, "Oh, it smells like stinky hippies," or something like that, or my high school girlfriend, or whatever they say. Um, but it is, what is that? It's so hard to say. Okay, so it's kind of like leather. I would say it's kind of like the smell of leather and fresh soil. Like or when it rains, that petrichor smell of water, ozone. That's how your aquarium should smell, is like leather and water, rain on a fresh day. That's ideal. Hey, we got a question. All right. Alex, I've been soaking wood and it smells like rotten egg. Is it bad for the tank without a food web? Yeah, that's a good sign that it's releasing methane. And so you want a very cycled tank to deal with all the organic compounds that are going to be in that. Not necessarily because they're harmful to a healthy tank, but when your tank doesn't have an array of bacteria, it doesn't have like 150 to 300 species of bacteria waiting to jump out and do a job like a cycled tank at 6 months or a year will have. It's very hard. A lot of times you'll get fungi or cyanobacteria that comes in, and those things like mold and cyanobacteria will fill the role of specialized bacteria, but they'll release toxins sometimes. Not all, but a lot of cyanobacteria has cyanotoxins. Some fungi or mold has spores that can be noxious. And I don't know for a fact, there's just not enough research on what species are at work, but we do call it white water rot, or white like water rot, if that makes, just put the apostrophe somewhere different, or put the the dash somewhere different and it's said differently. But it's the notion that a slimy white coating, like a clear, milky, off clear, translucent coating that looks like snot, forms on wood in aquariums. And if you have a very old aquarium, this process will happen quickly. And what it is it's the lignin and the chitin and the cellulose and all the little trace minerals in the wood being eaten by a fungi that can break it down quick. And fungi then makes friends with a bacteria, cyanobacteria specifically, and that's what that biofilm is on wood. Now, it can also, if you have blonde woods like spider wood or balsa wood or oak even, I've seen it be a purple color rot on the wood, which is really interesting. I have a video from about 7 years ago where I was like, what is this? Somebody tell me. And I actually had a professor contact me and tell me. And so we all learned together. And that's what I love on this channel, is if somebody submits a question that I'm like, oh, I have no idea, that's crazy. We all get to learn together when I track down the answer. Especially if everyone watching is like, I don't know. Blue flower, I'm having trouble with cyanobacteria hair algae this summer. I think because my tanks are in a room with lots of windows. Do you have advice? Water changes. Cyanobacteria, the main reason for it is that either your microdiversity is not diverse enough, in that you've got, basically you had microdiversity and then something got in your tank that was able to overpower the other things, and that is the cyanobacteria. Or there could be a nutrients, something like nitrates, or something like a certain carbon compound of rotting leaves, or leftover food because you're feeding slightly too much. It's usually something organic that's rotting, a dead fish. And that can spark all of a sudden a runaway process where a cyanobacteria or fungi all of a sudden becomes a monoculture. And your tank should have, let's look at this real quick. So your tank, when you look at the substrate, you want it to have all sorts of different colors. And when you look at it up close, you want to see like, ideally like a tank like this, I can get something that has, watch, I'll literally put my hand in here and pull up some really annoying algae that would ruin another tank of mine. But this tank is 10 years old. Okay, so this, down at the bottom, there's this algae and a dead rotting plant. Now, generally, I do try to trim plants and take out chunks this big. But if you're letting it sit in an aquarium that's newer, this organic material, leftover food scraps, whatever it may be, can turn into some nasty stuff if your tank is not prepared to handle it. But you see this algae here? This is called Claudiphora algae. And normally, it absolutely takes over an aquarium. I will show you in the other room one sec what that looks like as well. But in these two tanks, I inoculated this tank with this tank's substrate and some of its plants and water. And either one, look at this. We've got this kind of algae, this green fluffy algae that's on the wood back there. We've got different algae and cyanobacteria in the substrate here. We've got different algae that's like gray, old man's beard algae or blackbeard algae over there. Then on like the slide of my, look at it, we have cyanobacteria here. We have more in the mulm here, brown cyanobacteria. This is that bright green. Under a UV light, this will glow green. And the same deal with the outpour spout over here of this thing. It's absolutely covered in moss and detritus and, just stuff that's grown up over it. Here, this has gotten packed with it. I need to clean this. But see, the snails in this case are cleaning it. Look at that. That's probably a fish that passed away. And just the spine is left. Pretty grisly, but this tank can really handle it because I've got all these shrimp. I've got isopods. I've got, we've got all these snails. We've got nearite snails. We've got neocaridina shrimp, autosynclus. We have plecos. We have Malaysian trumpet snails. And we have pond snails. So we have like a little bit of everything in here to deal with things. But my whole point of all that is that all those types of algae in a really old, sturdy, cycled tank, they can all be there in trace amounts, and they can all just coexist, and not one is taking over and like swarming the whole tank. Even though, like, look at this. You have to keep an eye on it because at any time you could have an issue. Like, see, that's a little more than I'd like to see. The fact that there's that, so I'm going to take it out and set it on this leaf up here. But it could take over this whole tank in a matter of 2 or 3 days if it weren't like so well balanced by time and by that. So hold on one sec. Let me show you a tank that is totally overrun right now. I have a tank that's totally overrun by algae. And this tank has no substrate to speak of. It has sand. And even though this tank is 6 years old, yeah, it was brought here, 2 years old. Kitty, get out. This is why I got so hot in here, is because I had to boot the cat and the door, with the door closed, it gets pretty darn hot in here. Okay, so over here, you can see how much cyanobacteria and algae and nastiness that builds up. It's a lot. It's a lot. And on the glass, it builds up too. And you can see to do. But this isn't anything harmful, luckily. This is all stuff that I've seen growing for a long time. You can see how colorful the fish are. You can see they're all happy, healthy. No one's skinny. No one's gasping for air. And these are all fish that actually like oxygen quite a bit. Hence, have an active waterfall. Whereas, like, a tank like filter needed because I have bettas and, you know, long bulldog and a female. And then we have goody heads that are also living in, look at that, they're a mess, but they're doing great. In a 10-gallon Claudophora tank, they're having tons of babies, and these are a species that was like on the edge of extinction in Mexico. So it's kind of interesting. And then also up here, I have interesting experiments. You guys know how nasty these were. I have video to prove it. I put isopods in here and shrimp. Shrimp are only in this one. I put isopods in here, in here, in here. There is nothing left in the bottom anymore. These were the nastiest tanks. And the isopod scud combo has left it so there is nothing but a fine powder of mulm and then exoskeletons of isopods because they ran out of food. So then when that started happening, I started feeding the isopods in the other two and actually removing algae from these like over here and adding that algae up to there, adding the cyanobacteria up to there to see if the isopods can survive off of it. And I will update you guys with that later. But again, somebody asked about this shallow tank. I wanted to show you, like, yes, we got all the fish hanging out up here. We got all the least killifish. We got the scuds that normally are a big old pest. Normally, scuds that size would kill any baby fish from a species that only gets this big. That's how big the males get of the species, right there. Not much bigger than a scud. You just saw a scud zoom by. Here's a scud right there. And there's two male fish right there. Here's another male fish. And then we have a female and a male, young. But anyways, what I was tank in the other room, see all the oxidation, that red and yellow here? That's where the oxygen runs out. There used to be plant roots that went down in here. This is over a 10-year-old tank as well. And so some of these tanks I've kept, even though I say I'm not up to keeping all my tanks. This tank is another one that you've seen cross sections of. There's active cyanobacteria here. You can see where I took out a big sword that had been in there for like 6 years right here. Same thing occurred over here with Valsinaria. Anyways, that's a whole, like, if you guys are interested in the fingerprinting of all that and the patterns left in tanks, I can talk about that later. But these tanks don't algae up. Like, they do get algae right at the top. Not like across the whole top, but as you can see, you'll get like a little bit of algae on some of the top leaves right next to the light. Like if you look at it, there's some algae, whereas there's no algae down the way. But you'll get that right next to the light. But because of the substrate, because of all the plants, because of the time and the easing the process of this ecosystem, it doesn't get algae the same way as like something like this where sand was all it had. It had no deep substrate. It had no reserve of biological like eyes to come out and say, here we are to break things down and save the day and inoculate things. No, this tank completely relies on me with a turkey baster or a gravel back, scrubbing with a razor blade the walls or the glass, you know, and doing water changes. And that's fine. That's how many aquariums are. But clearly I'm lazy and I've been sick because look how bad it's gotten. I've watched it happen slowly and know the species of algae that are in there right now, and I'm not worried about it. Oh, look it, we have a friend who wants in. She kicked her fish under the door. Let me clarify that. She kicked her toy fish under the door. And she says, Daddy, I want in. Come on. Come on. All right. Let me get face to face with y'all again and sit down and calm myself in the room again. Super hot. Let me wash my hands also. Limp over here. I probably steam up the lens going in there and coming back out here. But then I'll get to any thoughts, questions, ideas we've got in the stream. But yeah, I think that's a good example of why those tanks are so much easier to wrangle and control, is because they've got that just over time. I buy a new plant, that gets a little bit of diversity. I buy a new fish, its gut bacteria has some diversity. I buy another fish, it has this or that. I play musical fish and I move some pregnant fish, or fish that are bearing eggs. All right, let's see here. One time I was like, why does it smell like beets in here? And I saw cyanobacteria outbreak in my tank, making a strong geosmin smell. Yes, totally, Adam. So Adam brings up a really good point there. There are several smells that are very telling of cyanobacteria. The most telling for humans, we can smell cyanotoxin actually pretty well. And I'm not sure if it's the cyanotoxin we smell itself or rather a metabolite. But I know for a fact that ozone, which gets made by flowing water and splashing water, as well as rainstorms, lightning storms, low pressure fronts with a whole bunch of rain, that smell of rain, we can smell ozone 1 particle per trillion. We can smell it. And that is more than a great white shark can smell. They're like particles per million, per 100 millions, or per billion in some sharks and other animals. But we are one of the most in tune animals on the planet that we know of to any scent, and that is ozone. Ozone we can smell in such trace amounts, it's insane. Now, I don't know how they work that out, whether that's the actual cell receptor being cued, like, okay, it fired off as if it had smelled it, or if they're saying we are cognizant mentally of ozone at that low. I would be skeptical of the latter. I'm guessing that's probably like a cellular reaction. But regardless of that being the case or something else being the case, you can smell rain coming, or if you live in the desert and you're used to that dry smell and a humid front comes in, or even wind blows over, get this, a lake or an oasis like several kilometers away, you can smell that. And indigenous groups of the Sahara and the Arabian Peninsula were able to smell when an oasis had water and if it was good or if it was bad before they could see it in some cases. It's really amazing the sense that we used to rely on that we don't need to anymore. And foul odors are one of the many ways that our body and our environment is cueing us into things like don't eat it, don't play with it, don't whatever. And in other cases, there's smells that we are drawn to or that we find non-offensive, and they are cluing us into the fact that, yes, there might be. Other than ozone, I don't know how many smells there are that are like anything remotely close to that. Blood, we can smell pretty well. We actually smell oxidized iron or iron oxide very well. Do fish sleep without eyelids? Yes, and fish actually have eyelids in most cases. They have clear lenses over their eye. Now, what's interesting is when animals left the water, they had to come up with eyelids to keep their eyes wet. Or they had to come up with, like geckos, licking their eye or having a secretion like a tear duct. There's different strategies that work for different organisms, but there's a book called Your Inner Fish that I really love, and it goes over like why fish eyes are already like a perfect lens, and the material that separates the eye from harm is actually the lens itself, whereas we need a cornea to like protect everything, and then we have eyelids over that, and some animals have another lens over that. um, Let's see here. Any tips for breeding super red bristlenose plecos? I've bred all the video. I've watched all the videos and talked to lots of breeders, but they won't breed. Fake a wet season. Have you done that yet? Wait for a big rainstorm or something. So for a month or so, you let your tank lose water. Let the water go all the way down to, you know, half of the tank. If you got like a 40 breeder or something, have your colony of your breeders, and it's always better to have like 5 to 10 plecos together spawning than just a pair, unless they're a proven pair. If they've already spawned together and you know you can rely on them, then that's different. You can do that all day long. But it's hard sometimes to get them to do that initially successfully. And a lot of the time, you could also have an issue of, do you have snails in there? Are snails getting past the adults and eating the eggs? So you want to look out for planaria and snails. Make sure you don't have those, because those could be eating your eggs. That's the first thing. But then secondly, you want to fake a wet season or rainy season. And that is when you let your tank evaporate slowly for a month or two. It's a process. And you let your water get harder and harder. And then you let the temperature rise up to like 82 or 84 Fahrenheit. And after that hardness goes up, the temperature goes up, the water level goes down, the pH might go up also. You want to feed them food like spirulina wafers and stuff that the babies will be able to eat, because they need to see that there's food for the babies, not just food for them, not just zucchini or green beans. They need food for baby mouths. So algae wafers, or rapashi or anything like that is important to feed them in the 2 or 3 weeks before you're going to pull this big stunt. So once you do that for like a month or 2 or 3, sometimes people do it. Some people do it for the whole year. They'll do it for like 9 months out of the year, and then they'll do a drop of up to 10 degrees Fahrenheit in water temperature, and they'll add surface agitation like power heads. You don't need to be that extreme with bristlenose plecos. They're very easy in the scheme of things. But make sure you got males and females too. That's the other thing. Make sure you got one with a bunch of the noodly onodontodes and the other that doesn't, and that they're both of age, they're both of an age to spawn. But when you add water that has a very low, nothing in it, very soft water, and it's cooler than the water that's in their tank, and you pour in, like you fill that tank that was half filled with water like that, it's going to cut all the parameters in the tank, and it's going to cut them in half to meet you halfway between whatever you added and whatever it was in there previously. So if you use like distilled water or RO water or rainwater, and you put like 10 or 20 gallons of that into the tank and just fill it on up, and then you add either another hang off the back, or you add something like a power head so that there's lots of oxygen in the water, that almost always will trigger the fish to spawn. And that works on angelfish, that works on cichlids of many kinds, that works on a lot of little tetras and barbs, and I mean, it works on so many fish. And then also, once one fish is ready to spawn, it's also very easy then for the chemicals in the water. The fish are waiting for other pheromones And every year in the Amazon, a bunch of fish, a bunch of different species are going to spawn. So they're waiting for cues like, hey, the Corridoras said it's okay to spawn. The angelfish said it's okay to spawn. Let's spawn. So the other trick you can do is if you have another fish tank other than live bearers, because they're always ready to spawn and they're always releasing pheromones and things, is you take a egg scatterer or an egg layer that's ready to spawn or that just spawned, and you toss like somewhere between 2 cups and a gallon or two of that water from their tank into the tank where you've got your fish you're trying to spawn. And very frequently that will get them to spawn. Now, the way to even maximize that, see, I've got some white bristlenose that I'm trying to raise right now too. They're kind of pretty. They're kind of pink actually from this angle because the but they're cool. Hey, look, guys, Bob the Betta is hiding, eating the aphids we were looking at earlier. And you can see how well that metallic blue, as much as you'd think that doesn't naturally hide the fish, it actually kind of does. Like all those colors there, it could just be a reflection on the water. But there goes Bob. Anyways, so yeah, these, oh, there goes the plecos too. Oh, they're both together. Or all three of them are together. Okay. So those are snow white bristlenose. But if you do that on a day where there's a thunderstorm also, and you do it right as the weather is starting to turn to rain, oh man, that is like the ultimate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 different thing punch that can get them to spawn. All right. So, man, you guys are probably like, Alex, you're making me sick. Put the camera back on you, or like, don't show your ugly face, show the fish, but stop moving it. Sorry, guys. I don't know where I set my little tripod thing, and I'm trying to read your questions. I apologize. I promise we'll go back to the computer and all that when Adam visits the show and when we have the next stream. This is just because more people come through by far. 80 of us in here right now. Could we hit that like button, guys? If you guys do like me. If you don't like me, hit that dislike button. Ratio the hell out of me. All right, question. I have a tank of super fancy goldfish. Someone gifted me a fancy from Outdoor Pond. He's in quarantine, but is there any kind of parasite that can be hidden inside of him? Yes, worms. Also, I don't know what's up. Johnny, what's up, buddy? Alex, would you like to trade? Like to trade? I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. But welcome, Johnny. Good to see you. And also, I see Johnny did. Oh, would you like to trade baby killifishes for my baby killifish? Let's chat. Message me, buddy, for sure. Let's see here. Heaven, what's going on? Good to see you, Heaven, also. Yeah, you could have worms in the true sense of like tapeworms, flatworms, or you could have like a hookworm or ringworm, like you can have nematodes and other parasites, and you could have things like internal leech type creatures. Or you can even have internal like flukes like that live in the gills of your fish. So yeah, get either fenbendazole, praziquantel, and then the one for worms is levamisole is the one I would use. So either get a parasite cleanse or a dewormer and use as directed by the packaging. Also, Johnny, thank you so much for your super chat, buddy. I always appreciate that. You are not being lazy if you're sick, Alex. Yeah, I'm working on it though. Let's see here. Yeah, my tank is a year old, and there was a lot of debris at the beginning because I didn't know what I was doing. It was too late for the. Was it too? No. So you can take all that debris out of your tank and keep it cleaner, and try to remove most of that cyanobacteria. That is a pain to do that, but you can do it. And you can use, with cyanobacteria, you lucked out in that you can use erythromycin, just normal API erythromycin, like the packet you get in the aquarium shop. Even half of a dose of that into like a 20-gallon tank, half a packet will kill all your cyanobacteria within a day or two. Give it 2 days and kill the lights, and it will kill all of that. Alex, have you tried the Dr. Novak method? It's a long story, and I'm going to show you something cute before I say something mean. Hello, little girl. Here, play with the ball. That's Sumi, and she's adorable. And I love her, and I speak well of most creatures in this world. But Dr. Novak is not a doctor. He has no doctorate. He has perhaps no master's degree. A group of actual classically trained or academically trained and now I'm forgetting the word. This is bad. I'm forgetting the word, but the name of the people who study lakes and the movement of water in lakes, that I'm forgetting the name of the word. It's a very specific small group of people. And there's only about a dozen schools that teach some type of master's or PhD program in it. And he did not attend any of those schools or any of the European ones. So a group of these people hired private eyes, and we've asked him many times to show us his degrees or where he studied or his proof of anything. Has he published anything? No, other than pamphlets under his own publishing company, and then he's reviewed them by fake other PhDs that are him, which can be proven by the accounts and emails and comments. So all of that rubs me the wrong way in that other people have shown that about him. People have even sued and won over this stuff. So let me just say allegedly. I don't want to get sued again. But all of that is the alleged situation. And his information is incorrect about ever trying it on a small scale. Is there truth that there is anoxic bacteria that denitrifies and then renitrifies like a BSB, as he calls it? Yes, and it works in huge scales and long time scales of years and years. It works very clearly, and he did not do the work. He did not publish the work. It was work done in the 1920s and 30s in Germany by sewer and septic research about drainage fields and ecology of basically how ammonia and nitrogen byproducts or compounds rather make their way through organic systems and how carbon makes its way through organic systems. All that being said, Novak has a point in some of his things. Plenums, those are great. A lot of these things he's talking about are proven concepts. The thing that's wrong is he's packaged it under a brand that he kind of calls his own theology or his own methodology, and he says that like people are fighting him because it's too hard to do or whatever. There's no one fighting him over it. There's no one, like, people would do it if it were easier. The thing is, it's complex. It fails easily. The things that he is talking about, in particular, they fail incredibly easily. There is no redundancy. Oh, look at this, guys. We got a rabbit out in my yard. Can you see the rabbit? She's going to eat the garden, and my wife's going to be real mad. You see her, kitty cat? Or are you you're gonna protect me where you protected? You don't see the, come on, baby girl. You can save me. Here. Look. Look. Look what's out there. Oh, you see him? You see the bunny? You see the bunny? You see the bunny? You missed the bunny. How'd you miss the bunny? It's going to eat the zucchinis. You're an indoor kitty now, though, so too bad. Anyways, so yeah, I would say, sure, read about whatever you want of his, take it all with a grain of salt, and know that there's something fishy with like his agenda and his selling books, his selling installation of ponds and systems, as well as speaking engagements, things like there's something like in several ways that have been fishy about it all. And I don't want to say what they are or what they aren't. I don't know. That's just how it feels to me. And that's that about Novak. Sorry, that was such a long tangent. Drekcon Tosh, what's up? Alex, what do you say about a 5-gallon tank? I want to put cherry shrimp in it and an abundance of anacris and some hair algae on it. I was wondering if I have to check the KH and GH. Yeah, I would probably make sure, but you're probably fine. Actually check the more than the KH and GH. If you're just putting cherry shrimp, neocaridina shrimp in there, like any kind of neocaridina, just check the pH. Make sure that it's below like 8.2 and above like 6.6 or 6.7, and that should be fine. It does need some hardness, but I'm guessing with anacris doing really well in there and there being algae on it, that you have some minerality. So it's just a matter of making sure you don't have too alkaline of water or too acidic of water, but I'm guessing you're going to be alkaline. Let's see here. Hey Kenny, good to see you, buddy. I appreciate you so much, man. You've been a part of the community forever. Let's see here. Johnny Best buying gift memberships for folks. I appreciate it very kindly. Thank you and welcome to who is it? Sewer Rat. Welcome as a new member. Come on in and enjoy the perks. Also, look at that. 58 months. 58 months. Kenny has been rolling with me. I've been rolling with Kenny. Kenny invited me down to the first Fishtoberfest that he organized, that he set that up for Portland. It's going on another year this year. I mean, it is actually, it's so cool that he set up really the only annual thing now on the West Coast. I guess, no, that's incorrect. Now there is also the Sacramento Aquarium Society gathering that's happened 2 years, and hopefully it'll happen a third, but or a fourth rather, 3 years and a fourth. But the Fishtoberfest, this will be what, the 5th or 6th year, and he started it. He ran the first ones. But anyways, love Danny and love Kenny Edwards. Love you guys. They're some of the best people in the hobby. Limnologist, thank you so much, Andy. I appreciate it. Beauty in the Buds. Thank you so much for answering. I can't use antibiotics where I live. I'm going to try proper blackout. Yeah, 3 days of a pure blackout. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see here. Warning. Who's saying warning notification? If the live video does not end in the next 5 minutes. Okay, whatever. Sure. Alex, I'm getting into certain types of fish that are hard to spawn, and it makes me feel more challenged. Yeah, there are some fish that are real hard to spawn. I will agree to that for sure. Alex, have you ever bred betta cochina? No, I have not. I have not. I've kept some, and then I gave them away because I couldn't breed them. Now, I did breed wood I did breed some wood cats, and I brought them down to 4 pH on the night that they bred. And I thought I would kill them because I may or may not have killed some others another time, bringing the pH down that low. Um, and they bred for me. And then only out of that, after months and months, I think only 4 survived to adulthood out of like 50 babies. That was so frustrating. Sorry. Side note. Not all of our victories are good ones, are victorious. Um, this year, Findig hosts the AGA in Sacramento. Oh, that's right. Oh, well, I'll definitely be at AGA because I love AGA. I've been to all the AGAs for what, the last, since 2017, I guess, or whatever it is, 2018, 17, whatever year was that. Um, Can you still have the microscopic organisms thrive if you only have a single layer of pea gravel and potted plants, or is substrate required? Yes, you will get microscopic level organisms no matter what. Will you get as many? No. Will you have the surface area for the bacteria and other things? Not nearly as much. But you will still get those things. Sumi, you are not doing your job of being a good bird dog rabbit hunter. Yeah, hydrogen peroxide, people who are talking about taking down algae and cyanobacteria, fill a syringe with hydrogen peroxide and select like if she's the algae, put the syringe right into the like little nest of algae and squirt just a little bit. Then wait and see if it turns orange the next morning. But it literally, you only want to use like a little like a diabetic style syringe, and if you can get it like over 3%, like an 8% concentrate, or even like the 17 or 18% concentrate that pharmacies have sometimes, then that's really good. That'll really get it. But usually you buy it at 3%, and with that, you kind of have to squirt a couple cc's per section. So what you can do that's even better is put it in a spray bottle, put the mister tip on it, and then if you can pull out any wood, any rocks, or even drain your tank down pretty low, you can spray hydrogen peroxide all over the glass wall of your tank and then wipe off it when it inevitably will turn this bright orange, kind of yellow, kind of like bleach hair that's black or dark brown, and it turns that ugly orange color. Yeah. Let's see here. Road trip, or are you going to fly? Kenny, I don't know yet. I would. There's native mud skippers down there. Huh, I didn't know that. That's so cool. Alex, Sumi wants to play, but she knows when you're hanging out with us. Yes, I know. Isn't she being good? Oh yeah, and remove your filter so it doesn't kill your good bacteria. That's another good thing. Yeah, if you're gonna use the API or erythromycin or a bunch of hydrogen peroxide, yeah, go ahead and pull that. Go ahead and pull that out. Yeah, that's right. AGA 2019 is where Kenny of Danikin Aquatics and I met in person for the first time. Like, we were friends before that through the internet. We knew each other, but we like first connected there, and that's also our friend Jason, who owns Redfish Bluefish. That's where I met Crystal Castleman and ended up getting info from her and linking up with her, and also Karen Randall, who has Sunken Gardens, the book. That's where I first got info from her and started emailing her. And then, of course, some of the aquascapers I look up to, and people like Alex Wenchel of Tank Tested, even though I don't know if that channel's still around, but he was a National Geographic level and Discovery Channel level photographer and videographer, and he had a YouTube channel about aquascaping for a while that was doing really, really well. But the kind of money he was making as a videographer was, way outside of that. And so I think he kind of does it as a labor of love and just kind of like a passion project now rather than uh, a hobby. Thank you so much, Kenny, buddy. I appreciate it. Giving memberships out. Boom, boom, boom. Look at that. Um, Alex, I realize Danikin is most no. Oh yeah, he is a must know guy, and he is a very talented cichlid and pleco and guppy and shrimp and he had over like 300 tanks in his freaking house. That's a guess. I don't know how many tanks he had in his house. He has like an entire house of aquariums. Him and his wife are absolutely insane in the best way possible, and they will give you the shirts off their backs if you're a friend of theirs. So, absolutely incredible people. When they do an event or they sell anything online or they stand for anything as a brand or sell any plecos or fish, absolutely, I say I endorse them. So, yeah, definitely check out anything that Kenny Edwards, Danny Edwards, or Danikin Aquatics, as they're known collectively, the couple known together. Any of the plecos they sell, any of that they breed, any of the rare fish, I say, get them. They're top notch there. And I've toured their house. I've stayed at their house. They've invited me over many times, and just awesome people. Can't say enough. Do I have any tips on breeding stir-by cories? Not really, other than my whole wet season fake out that I had as a tip for plecos. Cories are really, those are one of the easier cories, which is what I hate to say because for me that's the case. And for the hobby in Florida, apparently that was the case because they are affordable. They're under 10 or 15 bucks. And that's how you know if a cory was easy to breed and or popular. If it was hard to breed, like an Adolphoi or in the middle category, it's going to stay at like 20 bucks. If it's really hard to breed, it's going to stay at like 50 to 100 bucks for cories because they really come in so easy that they do it on their own. You barely need to do anything other than keep the water clean. And they come in the other kind where you kind of need to do a fake out. And then there's the once a year they only spawn in a perfect condition because they live in some tributary river in Peru that relies on a monsoon storm that happens like clockwork every year, and the salinity and the water drops because there's some salt deposit at the top. Just some crazy specific parameters and triggering signals that go into the evolution of why they spawn. But stir-bys luckily are one of the easier ones, as they say. That being said, it doesn't mean your water has what they want. But if you look up how to spawn a Corridora, watch a video on how to spawn anything like a Julii, anything like a Aeneas or a Panda, gold laser, red laser, green laser, any of the lasers, a bronze Cory, an emerald Cory, any of that stuff, any of those, again, like I said, Panda Cory, Sturby, Trilineatus, Julii, Schwartz, any of those Corys, they'll breed the same way. They have the same cues. So, yeah. Danikin, what up, Johnny? Oh, yeah. Also, feeding the adults, baby brine shrimp. Right on. More. Let's see here. Alex, do you have any tips for breed? Okay, got that. All right. Guys, I got to get out of here. I'm feeling pretty tired at this point, but I hope you enjoy the rest of your Friday. I'll show you guys something. Like, my feet are getting a little bit better. They're still pretty swollen. My legs and feet are still pretty swollen, but I'm walking on them. The break in my leg is fixed. The break in my ankle is no longer broke, and now we just got to work on the edema and the autoimmune stuff. And whoa, sorry about that, guys. I don't know what happened. Whoa, sorry about that, guys. I don't know what happened, but I am logging off anyways. So it was good timing for the whole thing to crash on me. So Sumi and I say goodbye. The bunny outside is eating the zucchini, so I need to limp out there and shoo the bunny off. And you need to be a better protection kitty. You saved me from the spider. Members, by the way, members have a new video up. It's very short and very to the point, but it does celebrate Sumi as a hero and a true hero at that. So members, go ahead and go to the shorts section and check out the new video I put up for her. Also, the new videos will be up. Do fish drink water and do they pee? And I already told you the answer is freshwater fish don't drink water. Saltwater fish do. Do they pee though? You'll have to tune in and find out more on this little 10-minute episode, and also the caveat to all of that about sharks and lampreys. All right, guys, I am going to get out of here. Alex, don't go chasing rabbits. It feels like something that either my father would tell me as like a young child, like, son, don't go chasing rabbits. Or something that maybe Lisa Left Eye Lopez would tell me in a song in 1993. Don't go chasing rabbit calls. Anyways, hit it with the hose on a gentle spray. Yeah, I'll hit it with the hose. I'll wad up the hose and whoosh. Oh, you mean spray it with the hose? Oh, hit it with water. Oh, okay, got it. Anyways, guys, I hope you have a good night. I'm probably going to be streaming on Monday, so stay tuned for that live stream. Hopefully with Adam Ragusia. Ragusia. And we should be just chatting, hanging out, having a casual talk like always. Open to everyone. And you guys, thank you so much for the support, for the love, for the super chats, for the later watches, for the lurker watches. Take care of your critters. Take care of your plants. Take care of your bacteria, your fungi, your mulm. Clean up your mulm if there's too much of it. Do the thing that's right for you for how you're keeping your tank, however you want that to be and however much work you want that to be so that you enjoy yourself. And of course, take care of yourself or you can't do any of that. Yeah, see, yeah. Do it, lady. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Do it, lady. Yeah.